Alright, on to part 3 of Ramblin Bout Ramos. And in this part, we are going to be talking about Avatar Ramos. And it seems a little interesting that I would bring up the Avatar so early in this series. Because normally avatars are looked at as sort of a, that's something you need to learn later on in the progression of any crew that you're learning. However, we're kind of following the way I went through with Ramos, which is, one of the things that helped me learn him so well was playing his avatar. Now, what's interesting about avatars is avatars do not necessarily make for a better master. That's going to be a common misperception that new players may make, is that they assume, here's my master, cool model, but look at the big avatar, it's automatically going to be better. And that's just not true over the majority of cases with avatars. Avatars are actually designed to give you a different play style with the same master. They change things, how the crew operates. The master himself or herself will be different, and they're just really going to offer you a different play style. That said, Avatar Ramos rocks. Not gonna lie to you guys. Avatar Ramos, one of my favorite avatars in the game. He's one of the, I would think, probably one of the more commonly taken avatar, along there with like an Avatar Sonya or Avatar Zareta. A lot of other masters may not be taking their avatars as frequently as, say, Ramos would. So I wanted to talk a little bit about Avatar Ramos, what he does better, what he adds to the crew, some of what you give up, and this section right here is going to be how you actually manifest the avatar. Okay, so if you recall from the previous video, I said that for taking Avatar Ramos, which is going to cost you an additional 2 soul stones onto your list, for attaching the avatar, you will still want to take the mobile toolkit. That's a little bit counterintuitive, considering that you will lose the totem when your master goes avatar. However, the mobile toolkit does, like I said from the previous video, some awesome things to help Ramos manifest his avatar. Now, what I'm going to show you is a couple of different ways of fulfilling the requirements to go avatar. And these are the most common ways that you would try to manifest. Now, Ramos has 2 requirements for going avatar. One requirement is summon any combination of electrical creation or steampunk arachnid, and you're going to want to summon 2. So it's any combination of 2, actually. So it's either one of each, or say 2 spiders or 2 electrical creations. And that will give you one of Ramos' manifest requirements. Ramos' other manifest requirement is to cause 8 wounds to enemy models using the electrical fire spell. Now that one's a little tricky, and it's the one that a lot of people don't bother trying for. The reason is because Ramos is so slow, and it's not very often that, especially against a really speedy crew, not very often he's going to get many opportunities to go electrical fire before he gets locked into combat. So the fastest way to go avatar is to actually take this the mobile toolkit, so that you will get your tomes, meaning you'll only need to play 7s and 8s to actually summon things. So maybe right off the bat, one way you might do it is on your activation, first turn, you're going to use the mobile toolkit to give Ramos the tomes using lab equipment. Then Ramos may use 2 action points to do salvage, what's it called? Salvage under fire, I believe, to give himself a scrap counter. And then do his 0 action to turn the scrap counter into a steampunk arachnid, and then, using his casting expert, he'll summon an electrical creation. And there you go. That's one way of getting one full requirement towards going Avatar. Now, there are many different variations of this. Another thing you might do is, if you didn't want to do the scrap for whatever reason, you could go with the lab equipment, detonate this thing, detonate the mobile toolkit, netting yourself a scrap there. Then you're going to summon an electrical creation using your casting expert. Then you can electrical fire your electrical creation, cheat down, blow it up. So then using your last AP, just summon another one. And that's a semi-efficient way to do it. So you'll be able to, on the following turn, either use an all-action to Avatar, and when you Avatar, you would just place yourself so the base is in contact with that scrap counter. So you'll have that scrap counter next turn, and that's another way you can do it. Now, you really want to get fancy. There's a really long sequence of events that you can be doing to net yourself some extra scrap and so forth. But here's another easier way to do it, and this is fairly efficient. So once again, Ramos, mobile toolkit, and this time we're going to introduce the Soulstone Miner. So same thing. Ramos will go ahead, lab equipment over to Ramos. Then Ramos will do electrical creation there, and then he may blow it up and do it again. And then this time we're just going to add the step of the Soulstone Miner attacking the mobile toolkit. So probably going to need to hit it twice, and you're going to need to have a reasonably high crow in your hand. And the reason why you want to do that is because you want to use the Soulstone Miner's trigger, Siphon, to kill this using a tome. And what that's going to do is going to do two things. One, it's going to give Ramos the scrap counter to start with. And two, if you kill him using the Siphon trigger, then you'll be able to net a Soulstone as well. So you're not just losing 3 Soulstones worth of model that way. You're also getting yourself a Soulstone. You can also, if you needed to, use your 0, make this into a steampunk arachnid. So actually, the way you're going to have to do it is activate the toolkit first, go lab equipment. Then when this thing is done, have this guy go, attack the toolkit, kill the toolkit, net you a Soulstone. Then Ramos can go and he can summon. He can do his two activations. Now, any way you decide to do it, or however way you come up with in the course of a battle, that will net you 1 full requirement to go Avatar. That means the following turn you will spend all of your actions. You'll do an all action, and you'll give up his entire next activation going Avatar. Now, that's the way most people learn how to do it, and when you learn how to do it that way, you kind of get used to that, and that gives you pretty much the whole game to play as Avatar Ramos. And that's fine. That's probably pretty good to do against speedy melee-based crews that want to get into Ramos' face and try and cut him down in combat. Going Avatar will probably scare them a bit, and it's a great defensive maneuver to do when you're doing it that way. That said, I've been learning lately to hold off on the whole 2-turn all go Avatar because, like I said, I'm really appreciating Ramos. So if I'm against a slower master or maybe a little bit more timid player that isn't trying to get in my face right away, I may hang out a couple turns just so I can get a couple of electrical creations out, or maybe even a couple of different steampunk arachnids out, because there's value to that. There's a lot of value to having that toolkit there and just making those two spells so much easier to cast. So what I would recommend is practice doing the 2-turn manifest, but in time you're going to be able to gauge whether or not you want to manifest in 2 turns, or if you manifest in a later turn, that you won't be giving up all of your AP. So in other words, if you go turn 3, turn 4, you may be allowed to cast your casting expert before you avatar, then you avatar, and then you get melee expert. It's just a little way of conserving AP and allowing you to do the kinds of things that you want to do with Ramos.